Hey guys, my name is Kaimana Kane and I'm with Greg Nelson at CSW for Fullerton. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Greg?
Well, I grew up mostly in Minnesota. So born and raised in Minnesota, a little bit of time out here, back to Minnesota. Grew up, started wrestling when I was young and gymnastics, so I did both those coming up at the same time. And I always had this little interest that was always there in martial arts. But there was a limited amount of stuff that we could do back then. So me and my buddies would get together and we trained. I knew how to wrestle, had some boxing. They knew how they were doing karate. So we would just mix stuff up in the yard and have fun with it. And I kind of grew up just doing that. But I really had this focus of wrestling, gymnastics, and martial arts. And to me, it was all just one thing. And that's kind of where my focus has been since I was a kid, and it's still the same now.
All right, so I've prepared 11 questions for you, Greg. So, number one, well, why did you start martial arts?
Initially I started martial arts. My dad taught my brother how to box, and then my brother taught me how to box. He was 6 years older than me. So it was as I always say, he was my first self-defense instructor, meaning I had to learn how to defend myself really fast. So he did some taekwondo, but then when I started wrestling, to me, that was a martial art. And so that allowed me to kind of even the odds after a while. And I always had this goal of being able to, defend myself and be able to deal with people. I was always a smaller person. In 8th grade, I wrestled like 80 pounds, and then it's 85 in 9th grade, then I got up to 105 pounds and went up. So I wasn't big, so I wanted to know how to defend myself. So wrestling and doing martial arts was always in the back of my mind, was being able to defend myself.
Cool. So question number 2, do you have any really go-to or favorite positions during grappling?
If I can, my goal is to operate a lot from top crossbody, right? Yeah. It fits so well with my wrestling background because the goal is get on top, pin and control. Then you add the elements of being able to submit from the grappling that we do in Jiu-Jitsu, and then you add punches. And now you have that from MMA and self-defense. If you could end up being on top, you want to be on top. So I like the top crossbody position. That's probably my go-to if I could get there.
Yeah, kind of same here.
Yes.
So number 3, if you could go back in time before you started your or at the very beginning when you started your martial arts career, is there anything you would redo or try again?
What I would probably do, and I've talked about this to a variety of people as well. I was a competitor, but if I would have found more opportunities to compete, which there wasn't as many, but there were, especially in like Muay Thai and Thai boxing, having that opportunity to go compete a little bit more, that would be a big one. I would also say that this really doesn't have to do with the martial arts, but it has to do with kind of being a better athlete, a better performer. Is back in the day, I was like an enemy of sleep. I just wanted to go and go and go. If I go back in time, I would have slept more. That would have been a huge thing. It would have made me more awake, more focused, and more able to get more done, which I thought was the opposite when I was younger. So sleep more, become a better martial artist.
I need that.
Yes.
So number 4, what was the hardest thing about beating cancer twice?
This is an easy one, right? The hardest thing was, imagine having your toughest workout you've ever had, where you're just physically exhausted, mentally exhausted, your muscles feel like you can't do another thing, and then you can't recover. Every single day it's the same. So it's like you just can't recover.
That really sucks.
It really was a problem. And so what happens is the battle is then in your mind, because it's very easy to start having negative thoughts. And so by far the hardest thing was dealing with that fatigue and then the negative thoughts that would keep bombarding you. You're not going to make it. I always tell people this: we have ants. Automatic negative thoughts. You just don't have automatic positive thoughts. You have a lot of negative thoughts. I don't know if I can do that. What if this happens? Instead of, I can do that, I'm just going to fail, who cares? I mean, that'd be great if we had those thoughts. So I had to learn, and I always tell people, you got to crush the ants right away. You got to crush the ants, the automatic negative thoughts, and immediately start to put positive thoughts in there. So for me, anytime I'd have any kind of that negative swarm, and that's kind of what it was, where you just feel like, okay, I'm not going to be able to see my kids grow up. You know, I mean, all these things that are really bad, I had to immediately try to counteract them. I had to say, okay, I can make it through this minute. This is easy. This is just like hard Thai pad rounds. I've done this before. I've been able to cut weight and keep going. So I'd immediately have to just battle that mental part of the deal. And I think by far that's probably what most people would say in almost anything they do. It's the mental that you have to fight.
It's the mental part.
Yes.
Yeah, I got it. So question number 5. If you could change anything about yourself, what would it be, and if so, why?
I would say that it depends on the time of my life, right? When I was younger, definitely I would have wanted to be more patient, right? I wanted to get things done. I wanted to work. That's probably why I didn't sleep a lot, because I'm not finished until I get this done, right? So I'd be more patient, figure things out. As time goes on, get a little smarter, right? Like I said, sleep, I would have changed that one, because that would have, I feel that would have made me healthy overall if I would have slept more. And I was always pretty good at my diet and taking care of myself that way. But if I was to rewind, and I'll tell this again and again and again, sleep is such a huge thing. It affects your motivation, you know, your physical bodies, of course. You're focused more. You think you have this ability to just get things done because you can think instead of trying to look for these mental rests all the time. So sleep is such a huge thing.
Yeah. I could relate.
Yes.
All
is good,
yeah.
right?
So question number 6. This one's kind of an interesting one. Is there a particular person you would want to train or learn from? If so, then why?
Interesting person. I've been really blessed in that area. I've been able to go out and work with a lot of people. But if I would say that if I was to go back, be able to train more with, it would be people like a Lee Kemp, like I talked about in wrestling, one of the greatest wrestlers in American history. One person I would have loved to train with, which I never got the opportunity to train with, was Dave Schultz. Dave Schultz, one of the greatest wrestlers, but he was also such a thinker. Always had a notebook. People said he always had a notebook by him. He was always, figuring stuff out. He actually learned how to speak Russian so he could go work with the Russian wrestlers. And so he was a unique person. That was one person I definitely would want to go back and in time, and if I could train with, that would be a great one. Because look I've got Inosanto, Ajarn Chai, Yuri Nakamura, Larry Hartz. I mean, the list goes on of so many great people that we are so blessed to be with because of the association that we have. So.
Yeah. So question number 7. If you were the idol of a boy who wanted to be exactly like you, what advice would you give him?
I would tell him that, when you have a goal, right? You have a goal, you have an interest, you have a purpose, right? Whatever it is, you have to align your life with that, right? You have to align your life with where you want to be and how you want to be, because there's going to be so many things that are going to pull you from one side to the next side to this side to this. You already have all these things. You got to go to school and learn. You have to, live. You have to have fun. You have to be a boy, right? But at the same time, for me, I had this idea. I have pictures of me at 13 years old that had my nunchucks. And I just said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to do martial arts. I went to college. I got a degree. But I always say I got my bachelor's degree in international relations, interstate diplomacy, but I got a master's in martial arts while I was going to college because I was always training as well. And I thought that everything that I did, how was this going to benefit my ability to do martial arts and eventually have a school and teach? And that's what I would tell people is start to really align your goals and start to see how everything fits together. And does it fit with your passions and and your purpose, right? And once you have that, that's it. You can have fun. You got a lot of time to have fun and to play and to do your things, but you have to be focused on what's my goal, how am I going to get there, who do I want to bring with me.
So basically surrounding yourself with what your passion is and having a disciplined mindset?
100%.
Right.
And a growth mindset. Growth mindset.
All right, so question 8. What advice would you give to a child or parent whose child is being bullied?
I would say definitely get involved in some sort of a martial art. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a great one. You know, obviously Thai boxing, wrestling, all these things that are teaching you to be put in uncomfortable positions and then being able to deal with them, right? And again, the more you are around people that are pushing you and forcing you to do things that are tough and hard, the stronger and the better you're going to become to deal with those bully situations. The more confident you are, the more you'll stand up for yourself. And generally, people that are bullying are looking for people that will allow you to bully them, right? So they're not looking for the confident kid that's going to step up and say, "Come on, what are you doing?" Yeah. Right? So you have to do something that's going to build your confidence. And definitely when you're doing stuff like wrestling or jiu-jitsu or Thai boxing, different martial arts that are forcing you to actually get in these little fights and figure things out, that's a huge thing in building up your confidence.
All right. So question number 9. What is your favorite technique and why?
Ooh, that's a tough one. But I will probably say, I'll put here, if I can get a rear naked choke, that's job number 1.
Yeah.
That's the number 1 submission in the world, right? You get behind somebody, you get a rear naked choke, it's tough to get away from. And that's across the board. Doesn't matter if it's MMA, Jiu-Jitsu with the gi, without the gi, rear naked choke.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. I love the rear naked choke too.
That's it.
So question number 10. What are your thoughts on bullying and how do you think it could be prevented?
Bullying. You know, probably not the contemporary way to think of things, however, but if you can whoop up on the bully and not get in trouble, that's going to curb people from bullying, right? Back in my day, if someone was getting bullied and we didn't like it, we'd go up and deal with the bully. And the teachers weren't like, "Oh, you can't do that, you can't touch him." They were like, "Well, that's what he gets," right? I mean, you have to shut him down because, you know, if you are bullied and you defend yourself against that bully and you get in trouble just as much as the bully got in trouble, how is that going to help anything, right? Yeah. You gotta make it so it's not a good thing to be bullied or to have a bully and be a bully because someone's going to put you in check. That's how I would deal with it.
Okay. All right. So for the final question, question 11, is there anything that has specifically helped you improve in your martial arts career?
I would have to say, first and foremost, I have an absolute passion for it. Almost an obsessive passion. So it would take a lot to divert me off my path. I'd get focused on something and it wasn't a chore to do it because I loved it. I loved it. And once you find something that you have an absolute passion for, it is easy to be disciplined. It's easy to get to work. It's easy to grind. It's easy to fail and pick things back up because that's your passion. And if you can align your passion with your purpose, game on. It's going to be tough to stop you.
Got it.
Nice.
Thank you so much for today,
Awesome.
Greg Nelson. Make sure to go check him out.
Where can they find them?
I believe Minneapolis. Or?
Yeah, Minneapolis, Minnesota, at the Academy. The academyminn.com, Minnesota, the academymn.com. Also, my Instagram is Greg Nelson MMA. And those are the 2 primary things that I would say. And I have also Greg Nelson MMA Online University.
All right, so, well, that's the end of the Greg Nelson interview. I hope you like my video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Wrestling Stand!
There it is. I like it.
All right.
Take on!